Sonically, how's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Whether you need a custom computer for gaming, streaming, music, creative, business, whatever it might be, Dark Fusion Systems has the custom PC for you. Get $100 off your entire bill. Use code CPPOD at checkout at darkfusionsystems.com. They got a brand new keyboard out as well, so go check it out. Link description below. Thank you. Now it's time for our feature presentation. We have Brent from the band Greyhaven on the episode today of this podcast. The new EP Stereo Grief comes out on April 12th, so we dive deep into the Twilight Zone-style concept of it, really going deep to how everything played out to really make this story and make this adventure of this EP really stand out sonically, emotionally, connectively, why new bands should definitely take risks by themselves and just have a great time trying to figure out what to see live. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. Back in the year 2022, this band released their third album, The Bright and Beautiful World, and I remember hearing people talk all about it. I remember hearing people talk very highly about it, and bands recommending this band to me, and I kept thinking to myself, I am kicking my own ass on this for not reaching out and trying to interview them around that time. So when I saw they're releasing a new EP on April 12th called Stereo Grief, I told myself, Kevin, you got to make sure you get these guys on, and you better not make sure that this passes you. Well, I made sure that, and now we are here. So please welcome all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, Brent from the band Greyhaven to the podcast. So Brent, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on, man. And I gotta say, once again, I am kicking myself still for not reaching out like 2 years ago. Like, man, I really like that album. I really wish I could have done some with that. But you know what? I knew I was gonna get a second chance at some point since I stuck with it. And well, it happened.
Yeah, we're here now.
We are here
and
now.
Without a 4-year gap between records too. So it's a plus.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't have to wait a 4-year gap. We only had to wait like a little under 2 years for this, which is thank God. But yeah. You know what? How about this? Let's just jump right into it because with Stereo Grief coming out on April 12th, I was listening through the whole entire thing, looking through the whole entire press release on it, and you guys really built a whole entire story around this 5-track EP, like a very immersive story. So everyone gets to know about it so they can really dive deep into it for their own selves. What was the idea behind this whole entire story?
So usually whenever we're writing records, I kind of just kind of have a little bit of pulling from wherever my headspace is at the time, and it usually is kind of on a time crunch. Like I write lyrics kind of last minute, so it's like usually just a bunch of abstract stuff pulled from wherever I'm at the moment, which is cool. This one, I knew we were going to be recording, and I knew which songs we were going to be recording, and I had felt pretty confident about the vocal ideas for stuff. I had demoed some things, but I hadn't gotten the lyrics down yet. So when we were up there, I basically had the whole time we were there, which was about 2 weeks, to just really focus on the words. And I had read this short story called "And He Built a Crooked House." It's like some 1940s Twilight Zone kind of short story thing. And it was really inspiring to me. I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to kind of lay that same type of thing that we do in the other records, is just kind of a stream of consciousness of wherever I'm at kind of mentally, but also I wanted to frame it with that backstory kind of so it's not a direct concept EP really, but there is a loose story going on the whole time. About kind of a house that doubles as a tesseract is kind of the big play in the short story. And I was basically wondering if you had walked into a house like that and was confronted with basically the end of Interstellar, where you can kind of affect different versions of your life. It was basically what if you could navigate this house / tesseract and kind of confronted with that whole thing and the implications of all that big heady bullshit right there, and kind of work through some emotional stuff with that, with that being the backstory. So that's kind of what the EP is that kind of framing for a typical kind of Greyhaven record.
So now that makes a lot more sense in terms of how the whole entire idea was contrived and overall like conceived, especially from inspiration from a short story from the 1940s and bringing up the fact that it had that like Twilight Zone backing. Because
Yeah.
for the past like 2 weeks, I found where I can actually get like the original 5 seasons of the Twilight Zone streaming, and I've just been watching them over and over and over again because
They're fun. Yeah.
they're fantastic.
So much fun.
The special effects are terrible, but what do you expect for TV in the early
Yeah.
1960s? But the stories are top notch.
Yeah. This short story read just like that. It was like kind of funny, kind of campy. And I was just like, man, what if you took this story and like expanded on it and made it like a lot more, dark in nature? Because that was kind of a silly story, really. But I had a lot of fun with it because it's not like a direct thing. It wasn't very important to be like true to a narrative or anything really, but just kind of working out our usual kind of music, but like with that kind of looming over it was like very fun. I got to take the lyrics a lot of different ways with that kind of looming in the back.
I mean, it does make a lot of sense where, you're taking more of a little bit of a darker space, a little bit more of this intrinsic value. Again, like you brought up with Interstellar, the end where, kind of where Matt kind of is like pushing the books, trying to actively affect, what's going on and actively inspired change in the overall status of the world or his reality at that standpoint in time. And when it comes to the whole entire idea of the story that you had, that you read, that you got inspired by being more campy, but then putting a little bit of a darker twist on it. I mean, think about all the Twilight Zone's episodes. Again, the ones that Rod Serling had created. He took a lot of those different ideas, a lot of those different social commentaries, those life reflective things that we take as our own, put them into stories, but had a little bit of that darker, creepier twist to them to really pull out different emotions within us for those twist endings, for us to really take a look not only inward, but outward. And it does make a lot of sense how this EP came to form like that, how the sound came to form around all 5 songs in consecutive order to really create that whole entire story of this could be a post-hardcore Twilight Zone like EP if you really wanted to call it that.
That's kind of the vibe. Like honestly, I wanted it to kind of be a mixture of like the ending of Interstellar and then this short story and then with my own like stuff kind of sprinkled onto it. It was actually kind of funny. Me and the guys were talking about this earlier today. Since talking about the EP, since it's coming out, I've had to think about, because people have asked, like, what is this about? And I knew that I had been inspired by all this stuff, but like, it was kind of hard to articulate. But in that, I've been thinking about it a lot. And one of the like big moments I think that inspired kind of even going down this lane at all is like, it's just kind of a funny story. When we had watched Interstellar recently, all together on tour. We were hanging out at a buddy's house for a couple of days during a break on the tour in Virginia, and we were having a 4th of July party. And I had actually taken a bunch of mushrooms, and we watched Interstellar at the end of that night. And I was like watching the end of that movie, and I was just kind of thinking that like that's just conceptualizing the whole ending of that movie, and I was like really stuck on it because I've seen it a bunch of times, but never on mushrooms in Virginia. And I do think that's literally where like the seeds of all this stuff with the EP started to happen, because I've just been thinking about that so much, and like the whole multi-dimension thing and Tesseract, all this kind of scientific crap. And when I found that short story, I was like, this is perfect. Like this is the perfect backdrop for this.
Well, we can thank some magic mushrooms for inspiring this whole entire thing, and Interstellar, where I still remember when Interstellar came out too. I had a couple of friends, I was in college, and we went to all go see it, and they were all like enthralled with the science, enthralled with the idea behind it.
It's too over the top for me. I don't get it as much, but I'm grasping at it.
Oh, trust me, I didn't get it. My favorite part about the whole entire movie was when they first went on the planet that was all ice that Matt Damon ended up being on, and they flew in there. And that was like the weekend where in 2014 where Buffalo got like 8 feet of snow. I said, hey guys, I literally yelled in the theater, hey look, they're in Buffalo. Theater just went laughing hysterically. And then when my buddies dropped the bottle of wine he snuck in, it just started rolling down rolling down the theater. We're just like,
incredible.
Why the fuck you gotta do that, man?
But yeah, no, I had just unpacked that like story the other day, and it just clicked, and I was like, oh shit, I think that is where this whole EP came from, was that night.
But it does make a lot of sense by adding more of that, like, especially more the multiverse theory behind it, but not necessarily in the way that we
Yeah.
saw it from like the MCU that, people are definitely going to be more in tune with. But think about Interstellar,
Yeah.
where it's actually being able to affect, the reality that you have by taking a look at these different aspects of life, where the reality or the other universe or the other you that you thought of that you could be a lot better off than you are right now, or
Yeah,
could
very
be
much.
worse off. And how can you affect not only the person that's worse off to get better, but in that situation, but how can you affect yourself to get to the space where it's like, oh, you want to be there, or reflecting on what decisions were made that prevented me from getting to that point. And then, because as humans, we're always going to be looking at, the places that we didn't go, the things that we aren't doing that we think are better, and kind of put our own selves down in our own current reality, because we're living in technically fantasy world where we want to try and get to those certain places, but we didn't get there for some reason, one or the other, based on decisions we made, based on different scenarios. But at the same time, taking a look inward, we also realize that, again, those realities are all kind of just out there, fake, not real, but you can still take time now to affect your current reality to get to that point. You still have the time to make those decisions and impact your life for the positive.
Literally, that is like pretty much the story that gets unpacked in the EP, is like a guy being confronted with all these different variations of himself and just being like, oh man, if I just would have made that one decision better, X and YZ would have turned out so much better or worse. It really doesn't matter. Like, just being able to see kind of all that happening in front of you, it would be so like disorienting and like very, earth shattering to your worldview if you actually got to see that. And basically, like, wandering through the house of this EP, that the house, the whole thing, the short story is like based on. Basically, every time they walked into a room, it was like a different part of the house. But I wanted to take it a step further, and like every time he opened a window or walked into a different room of this house, it was like a new version of his reality from past, present, future, whatever. Like he was having to witness, and it was just like it couldn't escape this like reflection. Um, and it's exactly that. Like, just working through everything that you just said is like kind of the whole premise of the EP. You worded it a lot better than I've been working on the last couple times I've talked about it.
Well, feel free to take how I worded it and run with it if you really want to. That's what I'm here for.
You
But
nailed it.
but I think that, like, really what I took a look at it and really got from this, especially from that story, was, we're able to take a look at these different realities, and really not only from our own perspective as well, we can take the time and just like sit in a room alone, meditate on this stuff, and let these realities come into our heads, let these realities, or these, others of us come into us, and see, these scenarios kind of play out in more of this like simulation mode, where we see, maybe what happens if we stayed with that person we were in a relationship with that we thought was the one. What would have happened if we would have stayed in this certain job? What would happen if we would have went after this one other thing? What would have happened if we never actually tried these different things, and play those out and see where it goes? Of course, mentally in your head, you're going to create scenarios where you're going to be better off. But at the same time, there's also going to be scenarios where you didn't go well. Things didn't go well, where you're worse off than you are now. So it gives you not only an appreciation for where you are now, but it gives you the reflectiveness to take a look at where you've been, where you've come from, where you actually are, and kind of gives you that own personal idea of a roadmap to get to where you want to go, how to make those decisions, how to take charge, how to take responsibility for your own life, not let anyone really stand in your way, so that the reality that you want to go into, where you're going to this house and you see things the exact same way you want it, you see the exact life that you want, and you want to get to that point. Now it's not just a dream. Now it's a goal, because you have the idea of what to go to. You know what decisions you want to make to get there. You know what steps it has to be. And that's all through reflecting, by going through all these scenarios, figuring out exactly where you are, where you want to go. And then when you finally leave the house, you have this feeling of relief where you tried all these different scenarios. You reviewed all these different things. You know where you are. You have direction. And that's something that I think, especially in today's world, a lot of people just have not gotten, because of how weird life has been over the past 4 years.
Oh yeah. I think too, like, at the end of the day, it's the acceptance that all of those what ifs and all of these dreamed up scenarios, good or bad, like, they ultimately don't matter. Like, because they are just what ifs, and you're stuck with what you got. You know, this is the channel you're on. So you gotta just work through it. Um, and there's like a comfort in that too, honestly. So that's kind of the ending of the EP kind of resolves that kind of stuff. Just being like, I mean, if you've heard the whole thing, then you know, like the last song where it's just like it chews you up and spits you out, and it's like up to you to kind of figure out what to do next. Like, and I think that's like, you know, it's a really difficult thing to face and kind of accept. Um, but it's also crucial. Like you just have to do whatever's best for like the the life you're living.
Oh, absolutely. And going through just the overall sound you guys put together on this EP and how it goes through. One thing I really liked about is the emotional sound that really goes through it. Just not only the way that all the instrumentals are put together, the way the guitars are put together, the way the vocals are, whether they're clean or unclean vocals, just really kind of create that more manic situation through the first four songs, had that heavier feel to it to really
Mm-hmm.
go through those scenarios, really feel that. But when you get to the final song on the EP, which of course is an inverse self-reflection, it does have more of this post-hardcore feel to the whole entire thing. So it has a more of this like cathartic release that you're looking for when you finally work through all those scenarios and you have that roadmap to go forward to get to the life that you really want to get to. You know where you want to go with it, and emotionally you are prepared to go through that because you just got the absolute ever-loving shit beat out of you mentally by going through this whole reflective period.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I'll say, because it must have been a lot of fun just trying to put this together and really creating that overall sound to make this sure the story goes from one cohesive song to the next to really not only stand out as one song to the next as an individual, but also stand out in that cohesive flow that we're really going through that experience. Because I gotta say, you guys nailed it on this.
Thanks, man. Thank you. We we were like really excited to build out the EP. We picked the first like the 5 songs we wanted to do. We were pretty confident in them. And like weeks before we went up to the studio, like I had been because we've been writing for a long time anyway, so we already had a bunch of stuff, and I'd been um demoing some stuff on my own here over some of the instrumentals we would do at practice and stuff. So like we've been working on songs, which is something we haven't had the luxury to like record on our own really in the past. So when we picked the 5 that we were going to do, I was already familiar with some of them because we've been kind of messing around with this or that. And so then getting to just sit with those 5 and focus on those 5 for a few weeks before we even went up there, it's like the performance aspect of the EP, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. Lyrically, obviously, we just talked about that. It was a little different, but uh, it was really interesting to work through the songs in the order that we were working on them because they're not exactly the same as what ended up being the track listing of the EP, which I think is really cool actually because the subject matter is about all this disjointed past, present, future getting jumbled and stuff. So the fact that the songs were recorded in different order than they're on the EP, I think is actually awesome because it sets up the mood perfectly. Track listing's perfect. But yeah, it was just something I think we were really committed to being like, this is where we're at right now. These 5 are really, really strong. And like, we think we can come into the studio pretty well prepared with how this is going to sound. And it's not going to change very much from the basement to the finished product, which is honestly kind of like a first. We usually have a pretty decent idea that things are going to move around a little bit, but this one's very, very deliberate. Like we didn't have a lot of changes or really with anything on this one.
I don't think you would have a lot of change on this one, especially given the overall trajectory of the idea that is this EP. Because no, even though it does go through a different like manic, mental state where you could have done something like that, where you recorded these, not in the same order, where it allowed you to kind of go through this different mental state, different mental field to really understand this.
Yeah.
It just opened up the EP to you guys to really live within that space. So whether it comes to that final song, if you guys record that like second or third, and then you're still going deeper into some of the craziness, for the last song that you end up recording for this EP, it ends up still creating that feeling of jumbled like disorder and dislike illusionment that you have in your head when you listen through it. So you really get even further in depth with the overall subject, with the overall story, to put yourself in to really feel it, because you guys exactly went through this while creating it. And when you're absolutely living in that space while you're creating it, the emotions, this ideas, they become more vivid and they really come out a lot stronger in that instrumental and vocal presentation.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was. I always get really excited when we're writing new material because, like, when we practice, we all write and practice in a room, which is, it's awesome. Wouldn't have it any other way. But usually during the writing process, I kind of have to just like sit back. I'm like watching the songs get crafted. I might have an input here or there, and I'm thinking about what to do, and like I'll try stuff out at practice and stuff. But like when we really start honing things in, and especially in the studio when the songs get like fully fleshed out and recorded, and I'm hearing like what I'm getting to record over, I'm like, awesome. Like the music that they write, I think just perfectly lends itself to like the kind of ever shifting kind of manic nature that I like to write in, where it's like from 1 second to the next it can be this or that, and it's really up to us to kind of figure out where to take it. But like it's the perfect canvas. I feel like, it's I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I would assume you'd have to, especially at this point. And not only yourself, especially with the vocals, with the lyrics and everything, but the way that it's all contrived. I'm pretty sure the rest of the guys in the band, while you guys were recording this, really working through this, had to be kind of in a similar headspace, just given the way that the overall sonic sound matches up so well with the emotion of the story that you're going through, especially with that, jumbled, disoriented mental feeling of going through all these different scenarios. And then, of course, at the end, kind of having more of this cathartic release of having that mindset and that goal going forward with the roadmap to really achieve what you want to achieve afterwards.
Yeah, I think our sound too just lends itself to being like constantly allowed to just go wherever we want. Like we're always trying to push everything that we do. Like we like to push the chaotic side as much as we like to push like the rock side and like the softer kind of music, ambient stuff. Like we're just interested in all kinds of different things, and the fact that we have basically always kind of been set up to explore all of it. It's like we're just kind of widening that net always. But with this EP, it was a lot more deliberate. I know we had written a bunch of different things that kind of sounded a bunch of different ways, but when it came time to really pick this and like kind of craft it together, I know we were all pretty deliberate on wanting it to be like pretty aggressive the whole way through. Like just come out really swinging with the solid state release and just kind of hint at like where the new stuff is going to go, because we are still writing, like we're working on trying to get a record out as well, so like this I think is a really nice indicator, but also it's kind of its own thing in a way that it's just like this big aggressive piece of 5 songs. It's just like boom, a little explosion. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to build this one out, because I think we were all like, we knew how we wanted like the finished product, where we wanted it to land on.
I'll say that is one thing I do have to commend you and the guys on, especially when it comes to your overall sound, with the fact that you have set yourself up to be able to expand into any different realm that you really want to go into. And the reason I say that is because, especially as time has gone on, especially as I've been kind of doing this whole podcast game for about 5 years. And the one thing I've consistently seen is over this time, really being even deeper in the music industry, is as the pandemic hit and as this next generation is starting to get more into music, the ability to just create what you want to create and really get more honed in with what you guys want to do, have that sound come forward and have that brash individuality come through. Those are the ones, and those are the bands that really are taking a charge and really bringing that overall mantra, especially for pop culture with rock and metal, back into the forefront. Because 10 years ago, we kept hearing from all those different radio DJs and all these different publications, rock is dead, and no one gave it any time of day. But now, because you have bands, and I brought this up plenty of times before, and bands like Bring Me the Horizon, bands like Spirit Box, Bad Omens, trying to think of a couple others off the top of my head, Sleep Token, Electric Callboy, just doing these things that are completely off the wall, but also very individualistic to their own selves. You're starting to see this want and this need for authentic individuality within music. And when bands are just going to go after what they want to go after, they're going to try these different sounds while still keeping it genuinely to who they are. And so you can like, I'm listening to Greyhaven, like I know this is a Greyhaven song, but there's a lot more here that needs to be said. Kind of like listening to Bad Omens, Death of Peace of Mind. If you listen to songs like Glass Houses or The Throne, you're going to be thrown off. But you're going to see
Yeah.
the individualized uniqueness that is Bad Omens in there, which is what I like about you guys, especially with this EP, because it does show that individualized uniqueness that you have as a band, specifically in sound and specifically with overall construction, to bring out this story into the forefront and really let people get into it, to put themselves into the story and fully explore their own heads, to come out the other end and really have that idea of, I went through all this. I went through all the scenarios in my head. I really see where I'm at right now, what I've done well, where I want to be, and how can I get there? Like, that's where your sound is really taking it, and you guys are absolutely living it, which is the reason why I think it's going to be not only a success as it has been, but a continued success going forward.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I think it's really important for bands to like whatever it is that you're gonna express, like your own identity is the most powerful thing that you got. Like trying to emulate, everybody emulates at first when you're getting started in something, but I think the more you do it and the more you try to explore and just try things out, I think that's where personality starts to kind of uh, to form. And like for us, we just really, I don't know, we don't really know how to do anything else. Like it's just like the way we express ourselves, it just comes out like this. And um there's obviously influences, we've definitely got a lot of obvious influences, but I feel like that's awesome. But we really try to do like our own thing, because it just, at the end of the day, like if we were to try and like write songs because this type of thing is more popular at the moment, or this type of thing, like it would just come off so disingenuous and not fun for anybody, like trying to write disingenuous music isn't fun for a listener, and it's definitely not fun for a writer, because I feel like you can just tell when that stuff's happening. So it's like, that's one thing I pride myself on with this band, is we've just always like, whatever, people seem to slowly be paying attention. It's been a very like slow ride, but like we've always just kind of done our thing, and the people that have been with us from the beginning are still here because like I feel like they know that. And as many things as we change and try to like explore this and this and this, it's like it hasn't alienated anybody. Like people just seem to be stoked that we're writing. So it was like, cool. As long as people still give a shit, we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, and I think one thing you said that really stands out as for any band that, is starting out, anybody that wants to start as a musician, when you start out as a band, you start writing, you're going to end up emulating a lot of the bands that you really like, because when it comes to writing, you're trying to get comfortable with it. You're trying to really find what's you, and you're going to start out with what you see is comfortable. So you're going to start down that path. But then as you continue to grow as songwriters, continue to grow as musicians, as a band, as an artist, you're going to start to see, where you want to try some of these different things and go for it. And I'm on the absolute train of go for it. Give it a shot, because if you keep going with the exact same thing that you've done over and over and over again, you're going to end up staying in this exact same place, and you're going to end up creating music that is going to sound repetitive. You're going to get tired of it because you're not absolutely amplifying your own creative outlet, which is what music is for every musician. So why not create? Why not be creative? Why not be expressive of yourself and show us truly who you are? Because it's essentially, if someone's going to just end up trashing you for it, it's probably going to be someone that's online, probably someone that has, an anime like avatar picture for their Twitter profile that is not going to even listen to your music at all, maybe hear one thing about it, write something bad about it, and then just move on with their day. You know what? Don't even give them the time of day, because they're not even caring about it. They're just caring to try and get a reaction. At that standpoint, the people that are absolutely loving what you're doing and really getting behind it and really connecting with it are connecting with your overall expression, with your overall artistic vision, and with how you present these different things, not only from your own experience about yourself to them, but how they can connect with it and relate it to their own lives and make a positive impact for them, whether it's on a mental, emotional side, or potentially even a physical side as well, to really put themselves in a position of empowerment in their own lives.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I just kind of went crazy on that one, but
No, I love it.
it makes sense. Like now I'm just like, man, did I just go into like
Well,
absolute preacher mode or something?
at the end of the day too, it's like if you're not having fun and you're not being true to yourself, then like you can't expect someone else to like be able to latch onto that and really enjoy it super, hard either, because like it's just like, well, you just did a thing, like, but why? Like, but if you're out there having fun and like expressing yourself in a genuine way, then people take notice. Then like if they're on board, then they're on board, and you're just doing you, and it's the best job ever if you can do it like that. Like we just love writing songs. We love playing shows, and we are fortunate enough to get to play shows where people know our songs. Not a whole lot of people. We're working on that, but it's like it's the best. Like it feels so freeing because like especially now with like this being the like third, fourth thing we've ended up doing, like with so much music that we can play now, which is also incredible. But like we just basically have the license to like do whatever we want. And like it's very freeing because we know people will hopefully just appreciate that it's true to us, whatever it is we end up doing.
Because it's a beautiful thing, not only when you realize that you have that like license to do whatever you want in your own selves mentally within the band, but also when, even more so, I'll say when the fans kind of expect you guys to do whatever you want, because at that point in time, they're connected to the substance of the music that you're creating, the substance of the art that you're creating. They're not holding on to a very specific sound or a very specific type of description. They're into it because they love and connect absolutely with the substance, with the style, with the emotion that you're giving out, and that you're allowing them to connect with. It impacts their lives for the positive, and that's why they come back and listen to you guys every like day or every now and again. It's why they come and see you every chance they get. It's why you see people potentially go to 2-3 shows on a tour and not miss it. Potentially sit in the front row, stand in the front row, screaming their heads off, singing every single word, because you guys connect with them on such that impactful level where you have the creative freedom to do whatever you want, and they expect it because they know you're going to hit on it every step of the way.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's people like if you're into Greyhaven, it's probably because you're into what we're doing. Like it's not, we've never been able, we're not like in the zeitgeist of the sound really. It's like if you're into a certain sound that's like really popular right now, like we probably didn't hit that. That's probably not why you know about our band. So it's just it's cool because the biggest compliment I ever get is people who don't even really like heavy music will somehow enjoy our sets and like watch it live and come away and be like, oh, I don't really like this kind of music, but you guys are cool. Like that's awesome because it just feels like it is a transcendent thing where it doesn't matter really what it sounds like. It's just about watching like four dudes really expressing themselves and having a good time. And I think that just translates, like at the end of the day, it's just very freeing to get to do, but also so much fun to get to connect and play the shows and go on tour and stuff. Like, so it's just like, at the end of the day, if you're not having fun with it and you're not being honest about expressing yourself, then it's like, there's just no other reason to do it. Those are the two wins that you get.
But even when you have people like that are coming up to you that might not like heavy music, but really get down with your set and really enjoy it, I mean, that kind of also could speak to the fact that you potentially could become one of those gateway bands for a lot of people that aren't necessarily into heavy music.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Get into your overall style, the substance, the flow of it, and just understand that overall message, the overall quality of the art, and just really get behind it. But then it allows them to go forward and to try these other different heavier things with other bands you might be going out with overall that have a little bit more of a similar style on the heavier side. Because take a look at bands like, use Linkin Park as the perfect example. Because how many kids, I mean, I'll use kids my age, people my age too, how many people in their like late 20s, early 30s got into a lot of heavier music because of bands like Linkin Park, because of the way they created, and because of guys like Chester Bennington, who had such this unique voice, but actually led to the fact that people like saying, you know what, I'm going to give these like screamy vocals a shot, and now I absolutely love them. I mean,
and I would argue they got a lot of like metalheads, rock kids into like hip hop and stuff too, like because they had that DJ element to it, like that. I don't know if a lot of kids would have like jumped to check out other stuff like that either when they did the Jay-Z record, like So it's just, I think it's cool all around, like to, if someone who's not really into a certain thing, if you can be the bridge to get them into a whole world of other shit, like that's awesome.
Yeah, and then that's a band where it's, even as those people continue to grow and they find more music that they might connect with ever more and just get more into. Now, when it comes to you guys, it's something where they might not necessarily get as into you as much as they do some other bands that they're recently discovering, but there's always going to be that connection between Greyhaven and them. Because I think about even like the gateway bands that got me into this stuff, like Breaking Benjamin. Yeah, I don't listen to Breaking Benjamin that much anymore, if really at all, on a daily basis. But do I still think about them in a positive light? Do I still look forward if they're going to put out something new? Do I still like to go and see them if I get a chance to? Answer all those questions is yes, because that positive connection is there. So even if fans are going into heavier stuff and it's like, oh, I'm just not listening to Greyhaven as much, they're still going to have that positive connection. So when you do release something new, when you do try something new, when you do go and play live, they're going to come and be there and check it out and try and get into it, even if it's something that's not really fully themselves anymore, but there's still going to be a piece of them that they can connect with that's in there. So they're still going to be a part of it, and they're still always going to have the respect for you guys for what you did for them, not only in their music journey, but in their life journey as well.
Yeah. I like the guy that's like the old head metalcore dude who's like got into early Norma Jean and then sees us play and goes, I didn't know a band still did this stuff. Those are my favorites. They're like, oh wow, new bands can be cool too. Like, yeah, dude, there's a lot of cool new bands out there.
So yeah, that's you might have to put that on like a Instagram bio or a t-shirt. Like the band old Norma Jean fans think is cool.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I could see just a lot of like old, like original, like metalcore fans be like, oh man, no, this can't be right. And they're going to go check you out and all of a sudden, grr, they were actually right.
The early 2000s, like metalcore, it's cycling back.
It is.
Back around.
It is to a certain extent. I mean, before you know it, what's going to happen? We're going to get like another like collaboration once again with all of Killswitch Engage, bringing back Howard Jones to do something that's going to be like part 2 to the End of Heartache.
For real, it could happen.
Don't get me wrong, that would actually be absolutely incredible.
Crush.
I mean, or maybe, Light the Torch will start doing something more like that, and we'll get even more of that, and then we'll get this whole entire positive battle between Killswitch Engage, Light the Torch, and let's see who else. I mean, we're up on the next year 20th anniversary of Trivium's Ascendancy, and they're gonna be playing the whole thing in full. Yeah. What happens if they come out with another album that has the same style?
There's so many records that hit the 20 recently, like all of the earlier Converge records are hitting 20, Botch 20, like Dillinger 20. It's crazy. Like it's awesome, but it's wild.
It's like I'm
glad Botch is playing again. Have you gotten to see any of that?
I have not.
Trying to go to one of those shows.
So there's so many insane shows that are happening, especially in the next month and a half. It's something where I'm I'm trying to fit all these into my calendar, but unfortunately I'm only one person. I can't be in 3 places at once, even though I want to.
True.
Because I've got a feeling especially for you guys, even though, potentially playing live shows as well. It's some of these live shows that might be coming through here. It's man, I want to see as many of these as possible, especially some of these bands that you've loved for so long. And of course, everyone's touring at the same time. It's I gotta make decisions. I don't want to make these decisions, but I have to because I'm going to see at least one of these bands. But I'm always going to want to be damn, I wish I saw the other.
Yeah, literally the other night, me and the guys went and saw the Callous Cowboys in '68 in town, and playing on the other side of town. Meth from Chicago was in town playing a dive bar. And I was so bummed because I love both of those shows equally. I ended up going to see the Cowboys, of course, but it's a bummer when everybody's passing through at the same time. Shout out Meth. Sorry, I missed your show.
Yeah, I've got something going that too because I'm trying to get Jonathan Visual from the Ghost Inside in the podcast, and it's they're playing the closest to me on April 25th. And it's I would love to be there to see the Ghost Inside play. They're playing with Bleed From Within. That's fantastic. Yeah. But here in my hometown in Milwaukee, that same exact day, we get Amir and Alpha Wolf. And I was just
tough decisions.
Well, I've already interviewed Lochi, so Alpha Wolf it is.
There you go.
Plus, I actually am I also enjoy the fact that I don't have to drive very far to go to the venue that's here in Milwaukee. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do that, and then also I get to go smashy fun time in the pit to Amir as well. It's like, come on, like that's really hard to say no to.
Oh yeah, very tough.
But from live show perspective, I mean, what do you guys got coming up? Because especially with so many people playing live shows, there's got to be something from you coming up where people are going to be like, we got to go see Greyhaven live, and get the old Norma Jean fans like, grr, we actually like this band. We have to go see them now.
Yeah. No, we're leaving. We played the first show on April 16th, so it'll be like shortly after this airs. We're going out with Better Lovers, Sea Space Cowboy, and Foreign Hands, and literally everybody's got new music too, so it's gonna be a fucking nice one.
All right,
doing like a month.
I was gonna say either I missed that tour or something, but you know what? I got to take a look at this. Is this gonna fit into my schedule? Because I got to pull.
Oh yeah, you got to come out.
Let's see if I can find it, because if I can't come, I'll be like, I'm gonna be mad at my own self. Let's see, where is it? Where's the good old tour poster? I'm just trying to find it right at the moment. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see what day would be. Could I make that day is the question, and I think I can actually, which will be hysterical.
Hell yeah.
May 12th in Madison, Wisconsin. Well,
you gotta come out, dude.
Well, if you know it, right after this, I'm getting a ticket, because screw it, I'm doing it.
Fuck yeah.
Wait a minute. That's also Mother's Day. And Mother's Day is a day thing. It's not a night thing. Who cares?
Yeah, you go take her out to lunch, and then
we'll go to brunch, and 2 days later is my mom's birthday anyway, so it's like, you know
nice.
What? You know, we'll deal with that. I'm skipping Bad Religion and Social Distortion for my mom's birthday dinner, but you know, I'm not gonna skip Greyhaven, Four Hands, Sea Space Cowboy, and Better Lovers. I'm not gonna do that.
Gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time. So if you are in any of the places that they're coming around that have not sold out already, please make sure you go and get your tickets to go see Greyhaven play live, because yeah, you're gonna end up being like one of those old Norma Jean fans that says, man, this is actually pretty cool.
Hopefully we're gonna try and win you over.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to. I'm pretty sure you're going to play a good chunk of the new EP. Of course, there's probably going to be a couple other songs sprinkled in there as well. So we're going to get a whole different, like, open feel of what really is Greyhaven, and everyone's going to really get an understanding of why we should continue to watch this band, figure out this band, and really enjoy it to the fullest extent that we can.
I'm trying to bring out a really chaotic set this time, so it's going to be a fun one.
Okay, now you're saying bring out a chaotic set, and all I can think about that is that I am totally into this 100%, because I hear chaotic set and I'm a happy person.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a tough one on the old vocals, but but it's going to be a good time.
Hey, if it's going to be a tough on the vocals, but it's going to create that manic energy in the crowd where all of a sudden there's going to be a big giant pit going in the middle and people hitting each other left and right, I can guarantee you're going to see some guy in a Milwaukee Brewers hat in Madison like going crazy, be like, okay, who the heck is this guy? I don't know what. I interviewed with that guy, didn't I? And they'll just be like, hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hell yes.
With a big, dumb, goofy smile on my face, because it's a mosh pit. I enjoy it too much. What can I say?
Yeah. Is that your happy place?
It is. I mean, there's multiple places that are my happy place, but that is like happy place number one.
That's a good one.
Because just when it comes to live music, when it comes to concerts, and it's like that, it's all that matters is just the enjoyment that you're feeling because of the connection you have with the music, and just the free feeling of just having an absolute blast, letting all the inhibitions go to the wind. I don't think about anything else 100%. Except for what's going on right at that moment.
Yeah, same. Absolutely same.
In a crazy world where there's always things that are changing, there's always problems that are coming up, whether it's, you know, on a political side, economic side, whatever it might be. For that moment, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it, because everyone is in a show to see one of these bands that are playing live because they connect with them on some sort of level, and the positivity is going to radiate from there. And it could be a show that has the most random assortment of bands from all different styles, or bands that all fit well together, but everyone's there for a positive reason, and you're going to feed off that positivity, because you very rarely do you leave a show saying that it wasn't worth it. Most of the time, you're going to leave a show saying, oh, that was fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's the best. Like, it literally is my favorite thing to experience. It's why we do this. It's so much fun.
Oh, if we didn't do, if it was, if it wasn't fun, then why would we do this? Like, we're doing this because this is where fun comes from. This is where the passion comes from. People go out and, you know, go watch sports or play sports or or get into like pop culture stuff, movies, television, whatever it is. We just like music. That's our form of art that we get very expressive with, and it just connects with us, and it brings so much more positivity to our lives, where we can spread that positivity forward to everyone else in our lives, and then we just make the world a better place because of music.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Could you imagine a world without music, though? It's like watching a movie without music. It's just like, what is this madness?
Yeah. And it's the sense of community that comes when you're like going to shows and going to local shows and just like seeing the same people and watching them enjoy the same thing that you do. Like, it's the greatest. Like, I think that's kind of why we all got into this in the first place, is because we were all like kids going to shows and be like, God damn, that'd be so cool to get to do. And then, you try it out for a few years and you're like, you can.
Yeah, because even like for myself,
it's
I've created a great network of people that I know, especially just from artists, like doing the podcast, everything, getting to know them. But at the same time, it's going to shows. I would always go by myself and never had any care about it. I'm like, I'm going to have a blast because this is what I love. I'm in like 4 or 5 different like group messages right now that are like 20, 30 people large. And it's just whenever there's a show going, it's like, okay, who's going to this? Just so that, if you're going to go and it's like, oh, it's going to a show alone, that's fine. Maybe there's like 3 or 4 other people that you already know that are going to be there. Even if I don't have in the group text, I go to shows, I know at least like 10 or 12 people every show I go to in different cities nonetheless. And it's like, you know what? This is fine. This is good.
Yeah, it's the best. And that's also, it's one of the cool things about touring is you get to see like the same people that show up like at every show that you're at. You're like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I saw you last time. Like, this is great.
See, now I'm gonna have to create that as like
building small communities elsewhere.
I'm gonna create the consistent thing. So every time you guys come play around like the Wisconsin area, it's like, oh, we know that guy. I've seen him before.
You gotta come hang, dude. You gotta come hang.
Oh, that's the plan. But how about this, Brent? I've got one more question before we wrap this up, and it's one of my favorite questions to ask. But I have to first ask, are you ready for it?
Oh, I'm ready.
Alrighty, so I love asking this question. I've been asking since September of 2023 to every artist I have on. It helps us as listeners and music lovers get to know the kind of music that you love and really expand our overall music palette. So, Brent, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would absolutely love to see more people get into and get more recognition for?
Okay. Duck Duck Goose, California band we're playing with on some off days on this upcoming tour. They're the shit. I got into them in high school and they were on, I guess, like a hiatus for a while, but they've been playing shows again. I've been fortunate enough to play with them before, but legendary band, absolutely incredible. Go check out Duck Duck Goose. Also would love to shout out my friends, the Holy Ghost Tabernacle Choir, incredible band. Very interesting live show, but just top-notch band. Beautiful people. Love you, Nat. One more band. Interesting. I'm always bad with these because whenever I get put on the spot, I'm like, oh, wow, everything I've ever listened to comes up.
That's like half the people I ask this question to, so you're pretty much like on one side or the other with it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this band because I'm sure they're popular enough. But if you haven't listened to this record, I've been playing it nonstop recently. But I'm gonna shout out my friends in Frail Body that just put out a record. It's been on repeat the last like week or so. It's incredible record, incredible people.
Well, now everyone's got more new music to check out that is approved by Mr. Brent Mills of Greyhaven.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Totally backed.
Totally back. Go and check them out. And now, Brent, I do want to thank you right now for being on the podcast. This was incredible. I love having you on. But I'm going to end this with 3 very specific things. So first things first, the brand new EP from Greyhaven called Stereo Grief comes out on April 12th. And you're going to want to listen to this whole entire thing. Trust me on that. You're going to want to get into it. And you're going to want to get into the band as much as possible. So here's what you're going to do to make that happen. You're going to go down the script from the podcast where it says Find Greyhaven online. There's going to be links and labels for everything, for where you can connect them on social media, where you can go watch your music videos, where you can go and find them where they're going to play live so you can get your concert tickets. You can go and enjoy a good time with them on tour. On top of that, where you can go and listen to their entire discography, where you can listen to all of Stereo Grief, and where you can go support them too when it comes to things like merch, because who doesn't want to support a band with some merch? I mean, come on. So that's going to be all in the description of the podcast for you. I am personally your own Google here. I'm doing all the work for you. All you have to do is go down, find your favorite link, click on it, and bing, bang, boom. You're all set and ready to go. So go and do it. I'm telling you, go and do it. And now, Brent, now it's time for number 2. Whenever I'm guesting the podcast and enjoying the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise, a way to say, I thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate your time, and I want to continue to support the band. I start these with when, because when it is a promise means that it's going to happen. We just don't have a day or time yet. But I do have a day or time now. It's called May 12th when you guys are on tour with Better Lovers and playing in Madison, Wisconsin. So I'm coming to the show, and I'm going to be looking for you after the show, after like your set at some point. I'm going to look for you. I'm going to go out Liam Neeson from Taken, pursue you, find you. I will say hi. But the real thing is, first round's on me.
Thank you, brother. I will take you up on that.
So we're going to go on the hunt. If all of a sudden you come out to the merch table and I see you there, you might see me just go, oh, that guy. And then just be like, hey, buddy, what do you want?
Yeah, we'll point at each other. I'll guarantee it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you see especially the pit opens up, you see the guy in the Milwaukee Brewers hat, it's like, you know exactly who it is. It's going to be me. But also because I kind of stand out in those realms. So it probably won't be hard to find me. But now it's time for number 3. So, Brent, as we bring this to its conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye, because this was a hell of a lot of fun. Loved having you on the podcast. Loved talking with you.
Hey, man.
I'm going to end up seeing you play live, and I got to make good on that. And I know you said you're working on more new music still. You're still writing. So when that next album comes out, I want to make sure that I bring you right back here to talk about it, get more people to know about it, and have another great time. So, my friend, this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
See you later, man.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Brent from the band Greyhaven. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And when it came to construction of this EP from a sonic perspective and a mindset perspective, specifically the mindset perspective, when he was talking about how he was inspired by both Interstellar and a 1940s campy, like sci-fi, horror-ish, Twilight Zone kind of story, that really made me connect with this EP a lot more and really get a further understanding of it literally in the moment when he brought that up, because personally, I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. I love watching the old series. Yes, it's campy. Yes, the effects are very, very bad. The special effects specifically. However, the storytelling, the emotions, everything is so raw, visceral, and absolutely perfected where you don't want to miss out on it. I absolutely love the idea behind it. On top of that, honestly, they should keep doing stuff like this. It really stands out. It really has this full force behind it. And the more that it continues on, the more that Greyhaven continues to make music like this, the better off things will be, and better off bands are going to be able to just like take this inspiration and really run with it however they want. That's what really creates that overall connective piece. And when you listen through all of Stereo Grief, if you go through from top up and really take it in and really have that like mindful perspective for about like 16, 17 minutes, you're really going to get in deep with this whole entire story. But it's going to be that quick revelation of all the different things in life that you could have done, all the different scenarios you could have been a part of, but also seeing how far you've come, where you've come, and how to make it to get to where you want to go. It's a very inspiring thing and a very mentally, reflective thing, which I'm a huge fan of. So definitely go and check it out. Go to script for the podcast where it says find Greyhaven online. Links, labels for everything, for socials, where you can get merch, where you can watch our YouTube videos, where you can stream Stereo Grief along with all the other albums that they have out, and get some merch as well, all down there. So go check it out. Also, make sure you subscribe to us in the Chord Progression Podcast. You're on YouTube. It's right down here. New episodes of the podcast every single Tuesday and Thursday, and brand new reaction videos every single Friday as well. Also, if you're on Spotify podcast, starting to get a little tongue-tied there, Apple Podcasts, please hit that follow button or subscribe button. I really do appreciate all of your listens as well. The full episodes are available every single Tuesday and Thursday. Hit the like button on these episodes as well to make sure it pushes us in the algorithm and more people get to know about us, all the great music we bring on here, and with this one, especially Greyhaven. Thank you, Brent. I'll see you on Mother's Day. And on that note, that's good, you guys. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. That was a big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!